We had people crying out for help to help this child and not to put them back into that environment, and nobody listened.
A demand for answers tonight after the death of a 6-month-old baby girl on the east side.
And the new year starts off with a new man taking the helm to make Indianapolis a safe place to live. We will introduce you to the new chief of IMPD.
Breaking news as we come on the air tonight, and it won't make shoppers happy on the east side. 2 big anchor stores pulling out of a mall.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
We begin our last 5 p.m. newscast of 2019 with whipping winds and chilly temperatures. If you're headed out tonight to ring in the new year, be sure to bundle up.
Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is getting you ready to celebrate the start of 2020. Hey, Kevin.
And I am smiling because the final hours of 2019 will be dry. We'll call it breezy. I think the wind will finally begin to relax, and those gusts will stay under 30 miles per hour. Steady temperatures are not going to change much between now and midnight, and the cloudy skies will be with us. I think most of the flurries now gone. You can see this is over into Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York. Bye-bye to that activity. We've got a lot of cloud cover in central Indiana. We've had a few flurries, snow grains through the day, the little kind of pellets. Temperatures low 30s now. They won't change, as I mentioned, for the next several hours. May sit just below freezing by the time we get to midnight. The wind chill temperature, though, is significantly cooler than the actual air temperature because of that wind. So definitely wear your heavier coat. Here's your game plan for this evening. Have a safe time out there tonight. Roads will be dry. Temperature down to 30 at midnight.
Well, tonight, a push for change after the death of a 6-month-old baby girl on the city's east side.
Daria Hill died on Friday. The coroner says she suffered multiple blunt force injuries. Her death is now considered a homicide.
Call 6 Investigates' Kara Kenny has been digging into the case and has learned the baby had recently been part of the state's child welfare system.
A makeshift memorial is already underway for baby Daria here at this house on Renton Street. She was only 6 months old when she died. Daria Hill's eyes and smile captivated those who knew her and even those who didn't know her personally, like Christy Cundiff.
I'm upset that yet again we've lost another child in the state of Indiana that could have been prevented.
She's the head of the Indiana Foster and Adoptive Parents Resource and Advocacy Group and says Daria Hill was a part of the state's child welfare system. The baby at one point was removed from her parents' home and lived with a foster family. Cundiff wrote emails back in September to the Department of Child Services, state lawmakers, and the governor's office, expressing concern about Daria going back to live with her parents in what she called an unsafe living environment. Cundiff says no one responded to her email, and 3 months later, Daria was dead due to multiple blunt force injuries.
We had people crying out for help to help this child and not to put them back into that environment, and nobody listened.
A recent state report showed about 20% of children who died from abuse or neglect had a prior substantiated history with the Department of Child Services.
I think that number's a lot higher. And, you know, I mean, we have children who are dying at alarming rates.
Daisha Puckett lives next door to the Renton Street home where Daria Hill died and says the baby's mother brought her other children over the night the baby died.
She just came beating at my door, and she told me she was screaming frantically that her baby's not breathing. She's turning colors, and she asked me to use my phone.
Daisha says the baby's mother blamed someone else, but we're not naming who because no one has been charged.
And she just kept frantically yelling, "What did you do to my baby?"
We tried to talk to Daria's parents, but no one answered. Christy Cundiff says the state needs to do a better job at protecting children. Is this case going to haunt you?
This case will haunt me. This case will haunt me because I feel like that the writing was on the wall.
No arrests have been made in the death of baby Daria, but those close to her are hoping one comes soon. Reporting in Indianapolis, Kara Kenny, RTV6.
And in Indiana, the courts also play a vital role in placing children back in the home. However, Call 6 Investigates cannot get those records because a new law prevents the state from releasing records about a child death until the criminal case is resolved. Call 6 Investigates reached out to the Department of Child Services, who provided the following statement. Quote, unfortunately, Indiana confidentiality laws prohibit us from commenting on DCS involvement or lack thereof with the family, end quote. Within the last hour, the Department of Child Services released a fatality report for 2018. It says 65 children died in our state due to abuse or neglect. 15% of the victims had a prior history with DCS. Unintentional suffocation due to unsafe sleeping conditions also remained a leading cause of accidental death and a top factor in neglect-related deaths. DCS says it is working with the Department of Health to promote safe sleep practices.
Tonight, there's a new top cop in the city of Indianapolis. Mayor Joe Hogsett today named an IMPD veteran to lead the department as chief. That man is Randall Taylor, who is most recently the department's assistant chief. Taylor has been a police officer since 1987, beginning his career in Champaign, Illinois. After 6 years there, he moved to Indianapolis and joined the Marion County Sheriff's Department and then rose through the ranks there and in IMPD. He said today he's always loved being a police officer.
Thanks. I'm deeply committed to the Indianapolis community. The people who live here, the women and men of the IMPD. I know my love for this community will grow as well as I attempt to build further bridges of trust and make our city safer and support the officers who protect and serve every day.
Taylor succeeds Brian Roach, who retired after 3 years as chief. He has accepted a job outside the police department and city government. With a new police chief comes new policies. Call 6 Investigates is examining IMPD's police pursuit policy after a bystander was killed in a police chase Monday. Call 6 Investigates Stephanie Wade is looking into whether officers followed proper protocol and whether this death could have been prevented.
A 64-year-old man is now dead after a suspect IMPD was chasing crashed into his car here near Pendleton and Oak Landing.
It's a terrible incident. Our condolences go out to the family.
IMPD says the suspect leading them on a chase that went into Hancock County, then back into Marion County. Sadly, it ended here when the suspect slammed into a car that had nothing to do with the case or the chase.
During yesterday's police pursuit, an innocent bystander was killed. Do we know if there's any way to prevent that and if the police pursuit policy was followed?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't taken a look at all those facts right now. Based on what I know, the officers would have been within the policy that we currently have.
Newly appointed Assistant Police Chief Chris Bailey calls their current pursuit policy liberal. But about a month ago, just before retiring, Chief Brian Roach updated the policy, making it more restrictive when officers are allowed to chase suspects. Right now, officers can chase for traffic infractions, misdemeanors, or felonies. But under the new policy, officers cannot pursue suspects for simply infraction violations without some other reason why. Working for you, I'm Call 6 Investigates, Stephanie Wade.
An investigation will still take place. IMPD says that they will see what they can do better if they did anything wrong and make those corrections after.
And breaking news to tell you about tonight here on RTV6, news you first saw on our Twitter account just moments ago. A major setback for Washington Square Mall on the east side. Call 6 Investigates has learned 2 more anchor stores are planning to leave in January. Dick's Sporting Goods has posted a sign inside the store saying its last day of business is this Sunday, January 5th. An employee tells RTV6 that Burlington Coat Factory plans to move out sometime next month. The mall came under new management this past August. Cincinnati-based Durga Property LLC was hoping to turn things around. The company invested in improved lighting and adding security. We are still waiting for responses from the corporate offices of Burlington and Dick's Sporting Goods. And the new year marks the beginning of a new era in gaming in Indiana. Tomorrow, 2 casinos in central Indiana will feature live dealers for the first time. Indiana Grand Racing and Casino in Shelbyville and Harrah's Hoosier Park in Anderson have been preparing for live table gaming for weeks. At Hoosier Park, officials tell us they have pushed for this change for at least a decade. They say gamblers are looking forward to the new addition too. There will be more than 40 tables for blackjack, craps, and roulette. More than 200 employees have been hired in preparation for the big day.
you know, it's a special thing. It's not just for the casino. It really is for those who come here and want to get away and enjoy themselves.
Hoosier Park has an opening ceremony planned with Indiana Pacers star Victor Oladipo that begins at noon. Gaming begins at 1 p.m.
In many parts of the world, it's already 2020. The new year is several hours old and arriving in spectacular fashion from Australia to China, Thailand, North Korea, and Moscow. The fireworks, the light shows, and the celebrations are breathtaking, and they're attracting tens of thousands of people. Meanwhile, the big moment is still to come here in the USA, and the biggest party in the country, Times Square in New York City. This is a live picture of the crowd gathering there that will watch the ball drop at midnight. You can also watch it right here on RTV6. ABC's Trevor Ault takes us around the globe for New Year's celebrations.
The clock is ticking down to the end of the decade. In just hours until the ball drops in New York City, thousands have already descended on Times Square.
The ball drop, the celebration, the euphoria, the songs, the singing, the dancing, you know, just it's like a real big party.
It's just wonderful. I tell everybody they should experience it at least once.
As the finishing touches are made here, on the other side of the world, it's already 2020. In Thailand, a massive fireworks display lighting up the Bangkok sky as revelers looked on.
Happy New Year!
Yeah! In China, a light show capping off cheerful celebrations in Beijing. More than 1 million people heading to Australia's Sydney Harbour. Its fireworks show continuing in spite of the country's ongoing battle with wildfires. In the U.S., as millions gear up to party, law enforcement is stepping up security. The NYPD will be working in conjunction with the FBI and Homeland Security. In Times Square alone, there will be thousands of officers on hand alongside weapons and canine teams. And this year, for the first time, drones will also be used for surveillance purposes.
We'll have intelligence officers out there, as well as patrol officers, emergency service units, and then as well with our federal and state local partners.
The NYPD chief says the Times Square ball drop is going to be the most well-policed, protected event on Earth, part of those ongoing efforts to end this year and start next year the safest way possible. Trevor Ault, ABC News, New York.
Well, New Year's Eve is one of the busiest nights of the year for the 911 dispatchers in Marion County. They're asking you to use discretion when calling 911 tonight and keep those calls true life or death emergencies. Call 911 if you see a suspected drunk driver, someone firing a gun, an assault or a disturbance, or a medical or fire emergency. Call 311 to report illegal fireworks or loud parties.
And a reminder, if you need to get someplace safely tonight, Indigo is offering free rides from 8 p.m. to 2 a.m. More to come this hour on RTV6. Have you given too much thought to any goals you want to accomplish in 2020? The surefire way to make it through the year if you're choosing to focus on fitness. That's on the Now Indy at 5:30.
Up next here at 5, the stone to seal the deal. A lot of younger couples are choosing to forgo the rock since diamonds are so pricey. But tonight, RTV6 shows you the more economical options at your fingertips.
And gray is the color of the day today, but we'll talk about changes. First day of the year will be much brighter. That's a hint.
Down, 0 deposit, 0 first month, and 0 due at signing.
Welcome back. There are a lot of newly engaged couples out there after the Christmas holiday, and there will likely be many more to ring in the new year. And they all know a diamond ring can cost tens of thousands of dollars and put them deep into debt right off the bat. That's why many of today's younger couples are ditching the diamond. Consumer reporter John Mettery shows us the cheaper options so you don't waste your money.
Today's younger couples are rebelling against many long-time wedding traditions. Example, the groom not being allowed to see his bride on the morning of the wedding. Another, buying the largest diamond you can afford. Marilyn Monroe used to sing that diamonds were a girl's best friend, but times are changing.
We realized that we were going into the marriage with student loan debt and medical debt, and the typical 3-month salary wasn't going to work for us to pay for a diamond.
Sarah Bray and her husband decided early on they were not going to go into debt over her engagement band. So this young bride decided to ditch the diamond for a pink-toned gemstone called a morganite diamond.
Oh, a morganite is a processed stone that is not, doesn't have any of the ethical choices that come along with a diamond.
Her roughly 1 carat morganite cost a third of a traditional diamond. But the best part, she says, other women compliment it all the time. So what do other women tell you when they see this?
I get a lot of compliments on it.
Alternate stones have been around for generations, but many couples avoided them, thinking it made them look cheap. But then, celebrities happened. From Kate Middleton's sapphire to Halle Berry's emerald, alternative gems are red hot. Store manager Eric Fair says there's no longer a stigma if you ask for a non-diamond.
We always say that whatever your budget is, we can find something for you.
In addition to morganite, Fair is selling a lot of aquamarine engagement stones.
This is the aquamarine.
With a light blue hue. Cost of a 1 carat aquamarine?
So a whole ring like this, you're looking at under $2,500.
Other alternative engagement stones, he says.
The ruby and sapphire.
Meantime, Fair says millennial brides who want a shiny diamond are now buying lab-grown diamonds, less than half the price of a mined one.
This took 2 weeks to create. This took about 1 billion years to create.
Can the average couple tell the difference between lab-grown and natural?
No. And you need testing to actually tell the difference.
He says top alternative stones include lab-grown diamonds, morganite, aquamarine, tourmaline, sapphire, and ruby. Sarah Bray is proud of her choice of an alternative stone.
It's important to go into a marriage without any debt.
So if you're thinking of marriage, feel free to turn old traditions upside down. You'll come off as creative and artistic, and that way you don't waste your money working for you. I'm John Matteries for RTV6.
And then you see a lot of couples using that money to invest in like homes, maybe a better honeymoon trip. Possibilities are endless, right?
The bright future.
Yeah.
Okay, final hours of 2019. At least there's no weather concerns. That's good news.
That's a good thing, right?
It was like that, and then some sunshine on the way tomorrow. The storm system that's got our wind all whipped up is pulling away. That is Athens, Greece. How about that? 18 minutes ago, they brought in the new year. That's a view over the Acropolis, one of the most famous archaeological sites in the world, and just stare at that beauty for a little bit. We'll follow, bringing in the new year around the world until it's finally our turn. How about that? Windy. Winds gusting over 30 miles per hour again this afternoon. They'll calm down a little bit tonight. I think generally be around 20. The center of the area of low pressure, which is the cause of this wind, as it pulls away, that will let the wind relax a little bit, and it will still be strong. I mean, gusting close to 20, so it'll have its impact, but not the 40 mile per hour gusts that we've had in the last 24 hours. The wind calms down a little bit, and our temperatures don't change much. They'll eventually end up to about 29, but our range today has been very little. There's a 32 mile per hour gust at this hour in Indy, 31 in Muncie. Temperature 33 in Indianapolis. Keep in mind, our morning low 32. Our afternoon high, 35. We've only had a 3-degree temperature spread, and that's likely to just sit where it's at now over the next several hours until we get some breaks in the cloud cover. Say hello to Zoe. She is licking her chops for a walk or for the cookie at the bottom.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at that, Zoe. Lucked out.
She's got a good evening ahead of her. Temperatures in the low 30s, and a nice evening to go for a walk. And then we'll finally turn the corner and get some temperatures in the 40s once again with sunshine. Temperature at midnight, 30 degrees. And then we'll drop just a couple more as we go through the overnight hours. During the day tomorrow, we'll start the new year with more sunshine, consistent sunshine in the afternoon. And that will carry our temperature along with the southwest wind into the 40s, just close to the mid-40s. The wind out of the southwest, these are the wind gusts, so they'll be lighter than that generally speaking, but gust over 20 miles per hour once again. Average temperature 37. We're above that through the day tomorrow. These are not the warmest temperatures in the forecast, but what happens as the temperature continues to climb, so will our rain chances starting in the afternoon, mainly in the southern half of the state on Thursday. Temperatures reach 50 or a little more in spots in the southern portion of the state. Our rainfall potential, remember the ground is fairly saturated, so I think we'll have standing water around again by the time we step into the weekend, but could have half an inch to an inch of rain. And then on the colder side of this, snow showers as the cold air returns on Saturday. Again, headline for tonight, it will be dry, breezy, with temperatures just below the freezing mark at midnight tonight. Tomorrow and Friday, rain returns, then snow showers Saturday, dry as we go Sunday and Monday with temperatures right around 40 degrees and morning lows in the 20s. No big storm systems there, no Arctic air.
we'll tiptoe into the new year.
Right. Not bad for the end of 2019. Thank you, Kevin, for that.
Well, dolls and little girls are a winning combination, and today was very exciting for some young ladies who were the first to see the American Girl Doll of the Year for 2020. What makes her so special? That's coming up.
Here, let me explain a little bit more about
and Keller right now.
We're just hours away from the ball dropping in New York City in Times Square, the largest party in the U.S. as we ring in 2020. The crowd is gathering there, and a lot of people have been lined up there since yesterday. The gates have opened for some, and once you're in, you are stuck in. You have to stay. You can't leave. That can make for a tough restroom situation, as some people found out there. Of course, you can always watch the ball drop and the celebrations here on New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest and friends. That begins at 8 p.m. And be sure to stay with us for the news at 11. Then we'll return you to the celebration there in New York.
Sounds fun, and I hope you can join us tonight. A big announcement today on Good Morning America for little girls all over the country. The unveiling for the 2020 American Girl Doll of the Year. The studio was filled with dozens of little girls eager to see who it is. Her name is Joss Kendrick, a competitive cheerleader and surfer from Southern California. And in a first for an American Girl doll, Joss has a hearing loss and wears a hearing aid. According to her story, Joss was born deaf in her left ear, but can hear some out of her right with the help of a hearing aid that comes with the doll as an accessory. The company says Joss shows girls the importance of trying new things and pushing past stereotypes. Joss is available now in American Girl stores and on the website. Tonight at 6, people across central Indiana will be using rideshare services as New Year's Eve celebrations get underway. But before you schedule your ride, a warning about a surprise charge that could pop up on your bill.
And just minutes away at the bottom of the hour, ringing in 2020 for the kids. The fanfare that came when the ball dropped at noon in the Circle City. Next on the Now Indy.